My name is Mia, and I am 27 years old. I live in a small apartment in the city. Life used to feel simple. I had a steady job, good friends, and a boyfriend I thought I could trust. His name is Ethan. He was charming with his warm smile and the way he always seemed to know the right thing to say. I thought we were happy, but I was wrong. One Friday evening, everything changed. Ethan had been away for work. He was staying at a fancy hotel in another city. He called me on video that night saying he missed me. I remember feeling warm inside. I propped up my phone and smiled at his face on the screen. He showed me his room, joking about how the pillows were too soft. That's when I saw it. At first it didn't register. Behind Ethan, in the mirror above the dresser, I saw the reflection of someone. A woman. She was wearing a silky robe. She moved quickly out of sight, but it was too late. My heart stopped. My stomach twisted. Ethan kept talking, unaware of what I had seen. I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. After the call ended, I sat in silence. My mind raced. Who was she? How long had this been going on? I felt angry and hurt, but most of all I felt stupid. I had trusted him. For hours I stared at the phone, replaying every word, every look he had ever given me. The next morning I woke up with a plan. I wouldn't confront Ethan, not yet. Instead, I would make him feel what I felt. I would play a game, one that he wouldn't see coming. If he wanted to lie, I would lie better. I started small. I acted like everything was normal. I laughed at his jokes when he called. I asked about his work trip as if I hadn't seen anything. But in the background, I began creating a web of my own. I set up a fake social media profile using a picture of a beautiful woman I found online. I named her Olivia. Olivia was everything Ethan liked, confident, mysterious, and just out of reach. One evening, while Ethan was still away, I messaged him from Olivia's account. "Hey, I saw your profile. You seem interesting." At first, he didn't reply. I felt a knot in my stomach, but then, hours later, he did. "Thanks," he wrote. "You're not so bad yourself." My hands shook as I read his words. He didn't know it was me, and he was already falling for it. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Olivia talked more and more. I made sure to keep it casual, just enough to keep him interested. I learned his patterns, his sweet words, and his lies. Each time he messaged Olivia, he would text me, acting like the perfect boyfriend. It made my blood boil, but I stayed calm. This was my game now. When Ethan came back from his trip, I acted excited to see him. I hugged him, kissed him, and asked about his work. He looked me in the eyes and told me he missed me. The mirror in the hotel flashed in my mind, but I smiled and said, "I missed you too." The game continued. One day, Olivia asked Ethan if he was single. He hesitated. Then he said, "It's complicated." I felt a sharp pain in my chest, but I pushed it aside. I needed to see how far he would go. "Maybe we should meet sometime," I wrote. Ethan replied, "I'd like that." That night I cried myself to sleep. I hated him for what he was doing. I hated myself for still loving him. But I wasn't done. I had one last move to make. I planned everything carefully. Olivia invited Ethan to meet at a fancy rooftop bar in the city. He agreed. On the day of the meeting, I told Ethan I had a late work meeting and wouldn't be home until late. He kissed me on the forehead and told me not to work too hard. My stomach churned. At the bar, I watched him from a distance. He sat at a table, looking around nervously. He was waiting for her, for me. I walked up behind him and said, "Waiting for someone?" He turned, his face pale as a ghost. "Mia," he stammered. "What are you doing here?" I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "I think you know." I pulled out my phone and showed him the messages between him and Olivia. His face crumbled. "It's not what it looks like," he said. "I can explain." I laughed, a bitter sound. "Don't bother. I already know everything." Ethan begged for forgiveness. He said he made a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. But I was done listening. I stood up, looked him in the eyes, and said I hope she was worth it. Then I walked away. That night, I deleted his number and blocked him on everything. I felt broken but also free. I had loved him, but I loved myself more. No one deserved to be treated like that. After everything that happened, I chose myself. I chose peace over chaos, honesty over deceit, and self-respect over betrayal. Ethan often comes back, apologizing, begging for another chance. He says he's changed, that he'll never hurt me again. But I know better. If someone lies once, they'll do it again. I've moved on with my life. I focus on the things that bring me joy, my friends, my passions, and the quiet contentment of knowing I deserve better. Ethan's regret doesn't move me anymore. His words, once so convincing, now feel hollow. I hear him out sometimes, but I always end with the same answer: no, I'm done. Peace is a gift I gave to myself when I walked away, and I'll never let anyone take it from me again. If you've ever been betrayed, know this: you are stronger than you think. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Share this story if it touched you, and remember, always trust the mirror. It never lies.